the future of spelling. My name is to link a lot, as I like to link a lot. Linking is a fun and easy way to remember things by trying to find a connection. A link. And it is fantastic. Fantastic. Ridiculously good for spelling. So good for spelling. Now, before I start the lesson, I've got I've got two, not one, but two. Shout out. I've got a couple of shout-outs. We love shout-outs. Shout-outs. The first one up is from 10-year-old Rosie, who spotted a great link here for two words, breath and breathe. She saw in the middle of each word is the word eat, which is really good. Really, really good. Eat. So you must, when you eat, you must breathe. Take a breath when you eat. How good is that? And then the word the at the end of breathe. Go, Rosie. Go, Rosie. Rosie Posey. Go on the pose. Tremendous. Great link. Double link. Fantastic. You are a linker. You got yourself a badge and a pencil as well as this shout out. The next one up is from 9-year-old VJ for the word scared. Scared. He spotted loads of words inside scared, which is really cool. Really cool. In fact, let's see how many words you can spot in 5 seconds inside the word scared, left to right, in order, 3 letters or more. Not backwards, not missing out any letters. In order. You've got 5 seconds. Here we go. Oh. How many did you see? There is scar, scare, car, care, cared, are, and red. How good is that? Put that into a sentence. You get scared, take care in a car, red light, all sorts of stuff. Brilliant. VJ, check you out with all those words. Fantastic. So good. Keep these links coming. I love them. So I can say shout out in as many ways as possible. Shout out, shout out, shout out. Shout. Brilliant. Right, today's lesson, lesson number 60, is American spellings, levels 3 to 5, and Susie stories. We've got Lady Lex on today. We've got Lady Lex on. Yeah, fantastic. We love Lady Lex. Now, there are about 15 or 20 words on the app that are spelt differently in America. So I'm going to cover some of these today. The first one up is jewellery. Jewellery. Now, in America, they drop the second L and the E after the L's. So it's Jewelry. But in British spelling, that's how we do it. Now, I've done a link for this one. I've done a visual link. Oh, we love this one. We love this link. Over. To my link. Jewellery. The E is an ear. The L next to it is a dangly earring. The next L is another dangly earring. And the E after that is the other ear. You've got to love a visual link. We love a visual link. The next one up is skillful. This word. Why we drop the second L in the middle is bonkers. I think I found out why. They don't like LLF. The dictionary doesn't like LLF together, which is madness. What's wrong with that? There are loads of words with 3 or 4 or 5 consonants, well, certainly 4 consonants together. What's wrong with that? You drop the middle L. It's just, what? And at the end, no words ending with a full. I'll come back to that. So there's 2 L's there, but they're split. Oh, that's really hard. But in America, they keep the middle, the 2 L's in the middle. Okay? Why we've dropped that middle L? I mean, the first L. It's just, what? Also, willful, the same theory. WILFUL. LLF together. What's wrong with that? What? I'm not happy. What's wrong with having LLF? What's the big deal? What's going on? Over to my link. Ouch! Skilful. The pair of legs in this word are split. Doing the splits is a skillful thing to do. Ouchie! Go on, Grandad. Good boy. Two-finger ripple. Two-finger rip. Rip it. Ooh! Painful. But not for Grandad. Very good. Now, words ending full. F-U-L, not F-U-double-L. Check this one out. You would be a fool to add full to the end of a word. Just add F-U-L. In other words, one word, one L. One word, one L. O. A Y hates being inside a word if the letter before it is a consonant. So when F-U-L gets added to the word beauty, change the Y to an I. That is a very handy link. Again, why don't we have F-U-double-L at the end? I think it's because carefully you add L-Y carefully, 3 L's and a Y, will drop the L of L-Y. Keep it careful, full of care, C-A-R-E-F-U-double-L, that's what it should be. Then add a Y, not L-Y. They don't like triple letters, triple L-Y. Oh, why not? I love a triple letter. I'm not happy. Ugh, not happy. That full, great tip. The next one up is... What are you doing up there? Get over here. Hey, get. Focus. Focused. In America, it's double S. Here, funny enough, in the middle is US, the US, but no! We have one S over here and there are two S's in America. Here is my link. Focused. The word use is inside this word. To get focused on your spelling, I suggest you use the oh so fabulous Sir Linkalot app. Use inside focused. Is it in? You know it is. The next one up is 2 for the price of 1. We've got practice the noun and practice the verb. Now, in America, the one with an S doesn't exist. Does not exist. They have the noun and the verb both as with the C. P-R-A-C-T-I-C-E. Okay, what's that about? Come on. So, let's see what I've done with this one. Over to my link. Practice and practice. The second last letter of the noun practice is a C, and in the verb it's an S. The noun ice is in the noun, and the verb is in the verb. There's a noun in the noun, ice, and the verb in the verb, is. Even though you can ice something, it's quite a rare verb. As a rule, it's the noun. Good one. And the next one up is 2 for the price of 1. Again. License, the noun, and license, the verb, CS. In America, you'd have thought, right, if they do practice with a C for both of them, they get rid of the S, the verb one. Forget that. Bin that one. Bin it. Okay. Same theory. License and C. No! Complete opposite. They don't use license with a C. They've got license with an S for both the noun and the verb. So practice, they keep the noun for both, spelling with a C. License, the verb, S. Oh, what's going on? Over to my link. License the noun and license the verb. The 2 C's in the noun are the shape of wheels, and the present participle of the verb license, licensing, has the word sin in it. You need a driving license, that is a noun, to drive the car, that is a noun, and not licensing yourself to drive it is a sin. License, practice. Let's call the whole thing off. I mean, really. Right. The next one up is one I've shown you a couple of times before, but I have to include it in this lesson because it's got an American spelling. The word is... Oh, it's a ridiculous word. It's a bonkers word. Manoeuvre. Look at the middle. O-E-U. What is that combination of vowels? What? O-E-U. Now, in America, they get rid of the O in the middle and they flip the R and the E at the end. So it's M-A-N-E-U-V-E-R, which I understand. I get that. But, as you'll see in Susie's fabby story later on, it's got a French origin. What a word. What a difficult, ridiculously hard word to spell. But not anymore. Ouch. Manoeuvre. The word man is followed by alternate letters of the words hour and eve. A man tries to manoeuvre down our chimneys quietly on Christmas Eve. Firstly, Grandad doing the splits. He loved it. Now Santa Claus didn't mean to do it. Must have hurt him. Ooh. Old people doing the splits. Tremendous. The next one up is fulfil, which means to achieve something. Did you fulfill your ambition? Great word to use. But look at the spelling. I've got to put these on the check. This spelling is just crazy. F-U-L-F-I-L. One L, one L. One in the middle, one at the end. Now in America, they got two at the end. Fulfil. It's just one of the top 5 most difficult spellings. I understand why. Great word to use. Really hard. Fulfillment. I always see double L in the middle. Fulfillment in the UK. Over to my link. Fulfil. Full with one L and fill with one L do not fulfill the criteria for being a word. But if you put them together, they do. Fulfil. I mean, double L in the middle, double L at the end. It's one of the two, isn't it? No, it's not. That is a really tricky word. American spellings, fascinating. I find them very interesting. I've learned a lot in the last year from Lady Lex about American words, and I always thought they were getting it wrong, and it's all and it's not. I'm being corrected here, and it's actually, they're not standard bearers, but it's very interesting, the take on this, and I've learned a lot from Lady Lex. Talking to Lady Lex, here she is. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you very much. Very well. I'm sitting in front of my bookcase. I've turned my computer around. So here is a glimpse of my many language books, plus all sorts of things behind me.
Have you read any of them at all, or did you buy them somewhere, the whole thing?
Yeah, no, they're all very well thumbed, I have to say. Apart from my own books, which aren't so well thumbed.
Oh, please.
They're just there for effect. Well, not by me anyway. But yes, lovely to see you, Sir Link-a-Lot.
And you, Lady Lex. Now, Americans and Americanisms, and this goes back a long way, doesn't it? All this stuff, and I know America's how many hundreds of years old, but it's not a recent thing, is it?
No, American spelling is definitely not a recent thing. And in fact, it would be wrong, as you suggested or referred to there, to call these American spellings, because very often they were British spellings that then went over with the British settlers in North America. So some of our viewers may know about the Mayflower, a ship called the Mayflower that went over. And on board the Mayflower would have been people who spoke in lots of different dialects, but also brought with them lots and lots of different spellings, because at that time spelling was, depends how you want to put it, it's either all over the place or it was just full of variety. Depends how you would like to describe it. I like the latter. I love variety in English. And if you take the word colour, for example, which in American English is C-O-L-O-R, that was the British spelling. It's closer to the Latin, which is C-O-L-O-R-E and various other things. So there was no U in the Latin. That came over later with the French, the Normans, who came in after the Battle of Hastings in 1066. So purely speaking, I suppose, if you wanted to reflect the classical heritage of English, you probably wouldn't have a U in colour. So for people to say that Americans can't spell is actually really unfair. And the other thing to remember is because there was quite a lot of hostility between Britain and North America, they didn't like each other very much for quite a long time. Each country each party wanted to establish an independent language. They wanted the languages to be unique and very much reflective of their cultural history and their cultural identity. So it actually suited both Britain and America to have slightly different spelling systems, because it meant they had their language and we had ours. And there was a man, do you remember we talked once about Noah Webster? And Noah Webster was a bit like Samuel Johnson over here. Samuel Johnson wrote one of the, not the earliest English dictionary, but one of the most famous English dictionaries. And Noah Webster was his kind of equivalent, I suppose, in America. And the reason he liked words like or spellings like colour without the U or honour without the U was because he thought they were simpler and they were easier for American children to learn. And you can't really argue with that either. So actually, if you take centre and you said that to a child, how do you spell centre? It would make total sense to spell it C-E-N-T-E-R. We only swapped the E and the R because the Normans came over and the French for centre is centre with R-E at the end. And so we adopted that style. But the Americans kept the C-E-N-T-E-R because it's easier to spell, because it's closer to the sound. So if you really wanted to argue for American English, you could say it's actually easier to spell.
Okay, so with colour, honour, and that sort of stuff, and neighbour, that makes complete sense. I'm saying that shouldn't it be ER colour? No, saying that colorem was the it's the Greek, wasn't it, years ago, wasn't it? So that's interesting. But with the one you mentioned just now, a centre. So how did they spell? The Americans spelling central. They must have dropped the E, or do they spell it central?
No, they don't spell it central. They spell it as you say it, central. So there's no doubt that American English is also quite tricky to spell, and there are lots of exceptions, and there are no rules that work for everything. But it is a little bit closer to the sound, I would say. The other thing to remember, I don't know, anyone who was with us last year might remember me saying that William Shakespeare, who everyone rightly holds up as the master of English, he knew everything and it was all beautiful and elegant and grammatical. People in his day, Sir Linkalot, thought he was laughable. In fact, laughable was one of the words that he gave us. But his critics said, laughable? What sort of word is that? It should be laugh-atable. Laughable doesn't exist. But William Shakespeare spelled his own name differently twice in his will, in the document that he signed, because spelling didn't really, well, it mattered, but it was just slightly all over the place. It was very fluid. So if even he spelled his name differently, and he spelled realise, I-Z-E, or at least the people who, the compositors as they're called, the people who put his words into print, and they put colour with an O-R and honour with an O-R. All of these were much more frequently used in Shakespearean or Shakespeare's English than what we would now see as the British spellings. So Shakespeare also had a bit of what we would now call an American turn of phrase.
Because I suppose, as you said, the settlers in 1620, and they were English-speaking, the British version. They're bound to have some influence in America, aren't they? You've touched on something there which I really find fascinating. I may have spoken to you about it before, I can't remember, about realise, organise. I thought that S is correct. Actually, Latin and Greek, I-Z-E-N, Greek ending, I-Z-E-R-E, Latin ending. It's a Z originally.
But I-Z-O in Greek. Yes, it was a Z. So you're right. So people hate it when I put realise in documents because they think I'm going for the American English. But actually, I work for Oxford Dictionary sometimes. That's the dictionary that I use on the game show that I work on, Countdown. And I-Z-E is the Oxford way. And it's the way that I grew up with as well, or grew up with. So I definitely use I-Z-E. And there's, I have to say, school kids today will probably get told, no, it should be I-S-E. And they might have a battle with their teachers over this one. But if they want an argument, they could just say, well, Oxford University Press prefers I-Z-E.
It's great because it's the French softening. They don't like the Z, it's a hard letter. That's what I've read. And so they softened it to an S. But the Americans, totally separately, hear the rise, realise, well, that sounds like a Z. That's their own take on it. And so I met an English teacher a couple of years ago who also marks English language GCSEs. And I told her, she said, really? I said, yeah. Oh, well, I would have put that as a negative. So I say to children, put an S, you're wrong.
Yes.
Put an S, don't risk losing points by putting
They're not wrong. No, I would say they're not wrong. The key message about this is that they're both okay. You can use ISE or IZE, but I agree with you, Sir Lancelot, that because a lot of teachers think that IZE is American English, you are a lot safer to go with the common, probably most popular choice, which is ISE. It's not wrong at all. It's just what most people think is the British English.
No, sure, but they would deem it. She said, I would deem that as wrong and dock a point. She said, I am wrong,
Yeah.
docking it, and she said, I am wrong on that. So I said to children, hedge your bets, put an S.
Yeah. We need to spread the word really about that one.
And we will, because we're our tour de force. One more thing, quite funny, Americanise. Would you spell that with a Z or an S?
Said always. Said always. I did a radio program called Americanise actually, and it definitely had a Z on it, in it. The other thing that I would say is a lot of words that we think of as being American, like wow, you might think is American. Actually, that was first used in 16th century Scotland. So that is not American. And the other reason I love American English is because it's such a rich tapestry of different vocabulary. So the one of the things to remember is that when British settlers went over, they were not the first people to land on North American soil. There were lots and lots of people who belonged there already, and unfortunately then over the years that followed they weren't wiped out, but they were definitely taken over by people who came from abroad. But their languages are still reflected in so many American words. So when the settlers went over and they saw animals like a possum, or they saw a tomahawk, which is a weapon, they didn't know what to call them. So instead they heard the native word for these, and they kind of turned them around a bit so it was easier for them to pronounce, and they became our English words. And moccasin, another one, moccasin, a type of shoe. So all of these they borrowed from the native languages, and they still exist in North America today, except we don't really realize that they came from these beautiful, beautiful other tongues that were slightly taken over, unfortunately, by the people that arrived.
And this is what feeds you, isn't it? These stories.
What feeds me?
This is what feeds you. What you're telling me is what you love, isn't it? About the whole thing.
Yes, I just love the history. Exactly. I love the secret stories behind all of these things. So some of the examples that I love to give, I don't know if our younger viewers will have heard their parents talk about, well, in my neck of the woods, this is what we talk about. A neck of the woods, when you think about it, you think, well, that's a bit odd. What's a neck doing in a wood? But actually, that goes back to those North American settlers who had to describe the plots of land that they took over to build their houses on, etc. And so they described the land by the shape, and this must have been a shape of land, a little plot that looked like the neck of an animal, and that then just sort of settled into the language. We also talk about somebody being a trailblazer, if they are somebody who sets a pattern and goes ahead and is the true creator, if you like, and an explorer, and sets the pattern for everyone else. And to blaze a trail in the days of those early settlers in North America meant to chip off a piece of wood, a piece of bark from a tree, and strip it off so that there was nothing but the white flesh of the tree behind. And these white spots would flash in the dark with the torches or the flares that the settlers were carrying to try and follow the people that had gone before and follow their path to whatever settlement they were going to. And so to blaze a trail was to create these beautiful shining bits of bark through the woods so that other people could follow them. So it's words like that that just give me goosebumps, really, or expressions.
Well, it's great. We love a story. We all love a good story. Now, two things before you go. So two things. Firstly, I'm not happy with this one, okay? Warwick, as in Warwickshire, the county. Dionne Warwick, the singer in America. But people see it over there as Warwick.
Yeah.
So they pronounce her name's pronounced Warwick, which is fine. But when they comes back over here and the DJ says, "Now here's Dion Warwick," I think, hold it. You play with our name over the hundreds of years. You come back into our patch and say, "This is how you pronounce it." All right? Well, no, hold it. I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy with that. Warwick? No.
I think anybody can choose how their name is pronounced, so I'm definitely not with you on that one.
No, but it's funny.
I think you're being a bit imperialistic there, if I may say so, Sir Linkalot.
Well, it's an English word from hundreds of years ago, an area of the country. Now we've got to pronounce it a different way because it's gone via America. But I like that. The fact
Well,
that
only in people's names. We haven't changed the Warwickshire where Shakespeare lived. So I don't think you've got too much to lose sleep over there.
No, it's more of an observation. I think it's funny how it all evolved. And last thing is, the Mayflower, have you any idea what, I'm putting on the spot here, what century, any ideas when they landed?
Yeah, it was the 17th century, but I don't know exactly what year it was. I probably got it in my book in front of me.
Hold it. I've got it in here, right? I've got it in here,
okay.
Lady Lex. Right, so here's my link for it, great link. It's the fathers, it's the Pilgrim Fathers. They went, their fathers, so the dads went ashore at 4:20. The dads went ashore at 4:20, went shore 4. The dads went ashore at 4:20. 4:20 on the 24-hour clock is 16:20.
1620, very good.
We love it. Anyway, thank you very much for the time. I think it's really interesting that Americans, in a way, are leading the way. You know, the stuff you mentioned, like the fall, the spring, and the fall. You mentioned that before. It's a great story. So,
yes, they call the autumn. We called the autumn fall. We used to have sidewalks. We used to have all of these words. So don't blame the Americans.
I love it. But I'm struggling with Warwick. I'm sorry. I'm struggling.
All right, you're forgiven.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time, Lex. We love you. Now, we have 2 wonderful Susie stories.
Manoeuvre, meaning a carefully planned scheme or action, was once all about using our hands. At its heart is the word manus, the Latin for hand, and the French word œuvre, meaning work. That manus also gave us manual, operated by hand, manacles, handcuffs, manipulate, to handle, manicure, a treatment for your hands and nails, and manuscript, something written by hand. It also gave us manure, dung, which farmers often clear away with a hand-held spade. Pooh! Confectionery today means sweets. In its early days, however, 600 years ago, a confection was anything prepared by mixing ingredients, and that included medicines and even poisons. Wine gums or cyanide? I think I know which one I'd prefer.
How good were those stories? We love Susie's stories and we adore Lady Lex. Complete superstar. She's great. So that ends today's lesson. Hope you enjoyed the show. American spellings. If you got any links, let me know. Come on, get on it. You can win a badge or 2 and get yourself a shout out. Embarrassed, the 2 R's are 2 red cheeks and you feel a bit of an ass. Stop. Never separate a para from their parachute. P-A-R-A inside separate. The number 1 most commonly misspelt word. By miles. Nothing touches it. Good one. And then of course we've got the man himself, Sir Lincoln. We love Lincoln. The name of the app is Sir Lincoln. Is it in? Oh, of course it is.